Hello there. This is Rom Wills coming back at you with yet another podcast. A woman always reflects her man. A woman always reflects her man. And when I say her man, let me be clear on that because there's a very powerful nuance there. The man that she looks at as her man, not as her lick, not as her sponsor, but her man, like she's into him, right? She will always reflect him. So when you see a guy, and he only deals with a certain class of low class women, that's really a reflection of him. That's really a reflection of him because understand something. Women always going to look for that type of guy that represents what she values in a man. You know, physical, psychological, all that stuff, class, religion. That's what she's always going to look for, right? So that guy, he's going to reflect that. But then you got to switch it over to the other side because this is very important for men. Like if you got, like say, because there's a lot of guys in relationships with some jacked up ass women. They're in relationships with them, right? But I'm looking at the situation like, oh, okay. That's who he is. I'm going to tell you what. In the landmark book, Atlas Shrugged, right? In the landmark book, Atlas Shrugged, Ayn Rand said a very powerful thing about men. Very powerful thing. Or relationships, not just men, but relationships. In fact, let me read this. And this is a statement I quoted in my book, Meeting Attractive Women. I ain't going to call it a book. It was almost a glorified pamphlet, but y'all know what I mean. But anyway, she said this because it's very important that men understand this, right? And anybody who's read Atlas Shrugged know, yeah, it was fiction, but she was also presenting a very concrete philosophy, right? But anyway, this is the passage. It said, a character was saying, tell me what a man finds sexually attractive, and I will tell you his entire philosophy of life. Show me the woman he sleeps with, and I will tell you his valuation of himself. He will always be attracted to the woman who reflects his deepest vision of himself, the woman whose surrender permits him to experience or to fake a sense of self-esteem. The man who's proudly certain of his own value will want the highest type of woman he can find, the woman he admires the strongest, the hardest to conquer, because only the possession of a heroine will give him a sense of an achievement, not the possession of a brainless slut. Now, that's powerful, and that's something, I first read that in the late 90s, but that's something, that was some game right there, right? Because, when I see a man dealing with a woman or the type of women he deal with, I know immediately about him. Because, see, you can fake, like somebody could say something, and they can fake, but I know everything about them as soon as I see the woman that they with. Not the women they say they want, but the women they end up with. That's a big difference. The women that they click with, the women they really click with. Because, everybody can say, oh, I want that dime. But when you actually see him with a woman, that's who he's dealing with. That says everything. I can tell everything. And honestly, and I've told women this. Whoever she deals with, that's a reflection of her. But this the men's channel. And, if he's attracted to that type of woman, that says something about him. Like, and one of the things I've always said, leave ratchets alone. I've said that consistently on this channel. But you got a bunch of guys focused on them. Focus on what they doing. Got them focused on, like, these ratchet single mothers. To me, that says something about them. Because I don't even notice those women. Those women could be walking on the street and I'll just walk right past them. They would have to stand in my path. And then if I would actually move around them, seriously, they would have to stand. I can be in a place full of ratchets and one classy woman that reflects my value. And somebody say, well, how many women are there? Oh, just one. But you got a lot of guys that focus on that. And then, despite what they say publicly, they hook up with that type. But that's a reflection of you. And see, that's just in the meeting. When you get in a relationship with a woman, that's a real reflection of you. See, a man has to understand something. You suppose that a woman, when she feeling a man, truly feeling him, not a situation where she using him or anything, but she will always reflect him. She will submit to him. She will adjust her persona to fit his and to follow his lead. But if he's messing with some tackhead or some out of shape woman or something, that says something about him. In fact, I can listen to a man, and when if we have a conversation, like a real conversation, not even an email exchange or text, like we have a conversation, I can listen to him, and I'm like, oh, okay, like the type of women he checking out, what it is, I'm like, okay, that says something about you. That says something about you, who you willing to deal with and everything, And it's very important. And see, one of the things with that, though, it's very important. That's not a short-term thing. That's not a short-term thing, because let's be real. Let's be real. Depending on who you are as a man, you could hook up with most women short-term. The key is, would you deal with them long-term, right? Would you deal with them long-term? Like, when I look at the women that I've dealt with in life long-term, I was like, wow, they always a reflection. Always very educated, typically have 2 degrees. More like if you use Master Teacher BGS's octane scale, they like the natural 92s that I click with the best. Natural, when I say natural 92s, they're not 92 climbers, somebody who came from something else. If you look at that show, Insecure, I was looking at the 4 women, and I'll say, well, which one would I naturally click with? And I was like, well, and I'm saying this is for me. I was like, no, I wouldn't even deal with Kelly. I might just be barely friendly to her. I could be cool with Issa, cool. We could talk. I could tell her some stuff and tell her some shit. I could be cool with her. Molly, maybe a good one-night stand. Molly, maybe a good one-night stand. But I was like, damn, who's the women I would click with? Oh, I would click with Tiffany. And then that other new female character that's in that condo. I was like, and when I look at past women I've dealt with, I was like, damn, they usually in that range. It's like I've dealt with the other classes before. Well, I say 87, 85. I got to go back to childhood. But, I dealt with like the 90. I've dealt with plenty of 92 climbers. And trust me, it was always, the relationships were best limited to the bedroom. But the ones they stay with longest, they were the natural 92s. In fact, I've always referenced, when I was at an upper class event and I got the pics on my IG, the woman I was with was more natural 92. So it was like, But that's a reflection, but that's just me. Everybody got to look at that. Like a guy if a man wants to understand himself, he has to look at the women that reflect him, because the woman who's going to be naturally attracted to him is always going to be that reflection. So a key for men, really, if they having trouble with women, not get mad at the women. A man got to look at himself and say, well, what is it about me that even finds this particular woman that's keep giving me hell attractive? Think about it. And like I said, that's one of the things you can't fake, though. A man ain't going to fake that. He can try. He can say some stuff, but when I see who he's actually with, I'm like, oh, okay. I already know everything about him. I already know everything about him. So, anyway, that's all I got for now. Something to keep in mind. I'll talk to y'all later. Peace.